This conference will now be recorded.
I'm fine, Bob. Thanks.
Thank you.
Here we go. We haven't got you
got that email.
Here we go. We'll call this meeting of the Sedalia City Council to order. We'll begin with the prayer and pledge of allegiance. Chaplain Matson, you have the floor.
Would you join me in standing as able for our invocation? Dear Heavenly Father of us all, we come to you this evening to ask your guidance. As the Sedalia City Council, mayor, administrators, staff, and members meet to hear about and discuss important matters for the betterment of our city and its citizens. We are so grateful for their service and dedication to duty. We ask your protection for all of our first responders, police, fire, sheriff, EMTs, hospital staffs, who work 24/7 to serve and protect us, often at the risk of their own lives. And yet there's another of these maybe overlooked group, are the lifeguards working at the pools, which season is about to start. Recently at the Haggard Community Center, a young boy was saved from very near death by some wonderful lifeguards who kept him alive until the EMTs arrived. And we are especially grateful and thankful for the service of our lifeguards. We are grateful for the United States of America, our constitutional republic, for which so many have fought and died to create and preserve for over 246 years. We ask you to bless and protect all who serve our country today, here and throughout the world, keeping us safe from threats from without and, very sadly, threats from within. And now as we leave this evening and for this coming Easter weekend, please bless us all, keep us safe from harm, and give us a happy Easter weekend. And all this is prayed in the name of our risen Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Robinson.
Yes.
Oldham.
Yes.
Marshall.
Here.
Bogus.
Here.
Hiller.
Here.
Cross.
Yes.
Foster.
Here.
Bliss.
Here. First item on our agenda is approval of the previous session's minutes. We have the first session from the council work session dated March 15th, 2023. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. The next set of meeting minutes we have is from council meeting dated March 20th, 2023. Do I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. And that leads us to our roll call standing committees. Finance Administration is up first. Chairman Marshall, you have the floor.
Thank you. First for me, I only have one item tonight. It's a call for an ordinance extending the agreement for the Supervised Work Release Program. This program is for non-violent inmates from the Tipton Correctional Facility. It provides transitional employment to the inmates that qualify. Since the start of the pandemic, the facility hasn't been able to provide any inmates to the city for labor. It is recommended to extend the agreement to keep it in place so when they are available to provide labor again.
Any council discussion regarding the ordinance? Having heard none, call for the reading of the ordinance.
Bill number 2023-53, an ordinance approving and accepting a supervised work release program agreement by and between the City of Sedalia, Missouri, and Missouri Department of Corrections, Division of Adult Institutions, Tipton Correctional Center.
Second reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Bill number 2023-53, an ordinance approving and accepting a supervised work release program agreement by and between the City of Sedalia, Missouri, and Missouri Department of Corrections, Division of Adult Institutions, Tipton Correctional
I
Center.
will pass these.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller. Yes. Cross.
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Bliss. Yes. Robinson.
Yes.
Oldham.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Thank you, Chairman Marshall. Up next, we have Public Works. Chairman Oldham, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. We have a few items tonight. The first item I have is an ordinance for the annexation of Deerbrook Villas Phase 4. In the last meeting, we had our public hearing, as it's called for in the process for that. And so this council session is now time to accept an ordinance with accepting the annexation.
Any council discussion regarding the ordinance? Having heard none, call for the reading of the ordinance.
Bill number 2023-54. An ordinance of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, approving and annexing an unincorporated area owned by E.W. Thompson Incorporated into the City of Sedalia, Missouri, adjacent and contiguous to existing corporate limits of said city.
Second reading.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Thank you.
Bill number 2023-54. An ordinance of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, approving and annexing an unincorporated area owned by E.W. Thompson Incorporated into the City of Sedalia, Missouri, adjacent and contiguous to existing corporate limits of said city.
Final passage.
Roll call, please.
Hiller. Yes. Cross.
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Bliss. Yes. Robinson.
Yes.
Oldham.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Bogus.
Yes.
Second item I have tonight is we need to establish a fee for the collection of tree trimmings and brush for commercial use. Residents and individuals have been able to bring smaller amounts for us to compost out of our materials collection area, and so it was still cost affordable to accept and to sell. In recent times, businesses are now bringing very large amounts. We've received calls of acreages of collections. Because of that, the grinding of the mulch exceeds now the needs for the citizens of composting and debris removal. So staff has created a fee structure that will allow us to continue providing no-cost disposal for individuals. However, for commercial use, that fee will be set at $4 per cubic yard. I believe we've had a couple of calls here recently about how that transaction will take place. Just like any other transaction that we have for city, that transaction will take place here at City Hall. What will happen is that individual or that business owner will come to the front office. We'll give the dimensions of their trailer. Our clerks know the algorithm it needs for that cost, and they will pay.
What's, before we, can I,
Yeah, go for it.
the fees for citizens?
Zero. There's only a fee for commercial
Oh,
use.
for commercial use?
Yes.
How do we generate, what is that fee and how do we generate it?
It's $4. It's $4 per cubic yard.
So I'm looking at Brenda, asking her how she came up with $4 a cubic yard, because I'm guessing she probably did, and. So when they grind, we were saying $4 a cubic yard, I'm assuming you related it somehow to how they charge us. Are they charging us ground or loose? How are they charging? So they measure the volume of the pile, then they charge us accordingly per cubic yard. And your figure of $4 is based on that? That answers my question.
Any other council discussion regarding the ordinance? All right. Having heard none, call for the reading of the ordinance.
Bill number 2023-55. An ordinance of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, amending Article 3 of Chapter 48 of the Code of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, to add Section 48-54, establishing a fee for certain tree trimming, grinding, and recycling services.
Second reading.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Thank you.
Bill number 2023-55. An ordinance of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, amending Article 3 of Chapter 48 of the Code of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, to add Section 48-54, establishing a fee for certain tree trimming, grinding, and recycling services.
Final passage.
Roll call, please.
Cross.
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Bliss.
No.
Robinson.
Yes.
Oldham.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Bogus.
Yes.
Hiller.
No. The third item I have tonight is a budget amendment and agreement for the water towers and tank cleaning and inspection. The cleaning and inspections of water towers was budgeted for in the fiscal year 23, but was unable to be completed prior to the year end. Further, the amount budgeted was $12,000 was less than the low bid received for $20,900. The staff recommends approval of moving the unspent budgeted funds from the 23 budget year to 24 and increasing the budgeted line items to cover the low bid. The staff also recommends award of the project to Viking Painting LLC as the low bidder to obtain in accordance with our procurement policies.
Any council discussion regarding the resolution and two subsequent ordinances? Having heard none, call for the reading of the ordinance, or reading of the resolution, rather.
Resolution 2019, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sedalia, Missouri, stating facts and reasons for the necessity to amend and increase the city's annual budget for fiscal year 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. And we'll call for the reading of the first ordinance.
Bill number 2023-56, an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024 regarding water tower tank cleaning and inspection.
Second reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Bill number 2023-56, an ordinance amending the budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024 regarding water tower tank cleaning and inspection.
Final passage.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Foster,
Yes.
Bliss,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Oldham,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yes.
Cross.
Yes. All right, call for the reading of the final ordinance related to this matter.
Bill number 2023-57, an ordinance authorizing an agreement for water towers and tanks cleaning and inspections.
Second reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Bill number 2023-57, an ordinance authorizing an agreement for water towers and tanks cleaning and inspections.
Final passage.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bliss,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Oldham,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
I'll tack on to the saying that this agreement covers the four tanks, the filtration plant, the water tower on Main, the water tower on Water Tower Road, and the water loop tank. The fourth item I have tonight is a contract extension. We need to pass a contract extension with Martin Energy Group for our generator maintenance. This is a maintenance contract for the 24 generators we have on site.
Any council discussion regarding the ordinance? Having heard none, call for the reading of the ordinance.
Bill number 2023-58, an ordinance authorizing an extension to the agreement for on-site generator maintenance, inspection, and repair services.
Second reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Bill number 2023-58, an ordinance authorizing an extension to the agreement for on-site generator maintenance, inspection, and repair services.
Final passage.
Second. Roll call, please.
Robinson,
Yes.
Oldham,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Bliss.
Yes.
All right. The final item I have tonight for Public Works Committee is going to be opened up for discussion for City Council. And it is considering the counter offer from the Pettis County for the property at Main and State Fair Boulevard. For at least the last 4 years, as long as I've been on council, we've been wanting to improve the intersection of Main and State Fair Boulevard. Obviously, with all the factories have on that Pro Energy on North State Fair Boulevard and the traffic that we have on Main Street, it gets quite congested there in that intersection. Not only that, the road splits and kind of jags itself, so it's not lined up properly. So for the last several years, we've been working on what we thought as council, maybe a roundabout would be substantial there to decrease or increase the flow better. There is a piece of property, though, on the northwest corner of that owned by Pettis County. And here recently, they've moved their operations out of that to another location. And we, as council, authorized the mayor to approach Pettis County to see if they would be interested in selling that piece of property. Pettis County came back to us, said they would agree to sell that property. The mayor and the county then went into discussions about what would be an appropriate amount, and we had all agreed that the appraised amount would be the appropriate amount to purchase that piece of property. We received the appraisal back at a $280,000. That is for the entirety of the property, and correct me, how big was that? Was that how many acres was that? Yeah. 2.5. Thank you very much. Thank you. And so that was an agreeable term that we have authorized the mayor to approach with. After that appraisal came back, the Pettis County came back to council with a counter offer. They wanted to, they would agree to the price. However, there was, it also needed to include the transfer of property of the county jail. And I'm going to turn it over to City Administrator Shaw. He can kind of explain the history of how the city is involved with our county jail and a little bit of the situation that we have with some of the back payments as well with that.
Okay.
Mr. Shaw?
Thanks, sir. So just to give you a little bit of background so that everybody understands what property they're talking about. You have on the screen there the beacon or the GIS system, and I've got highlighted here this piece of property that is still owned by the city of Sedalia, that you can see part of the jail is built upon. Plus, you've got this area that's the city right-of-way, that was 4th Street, that was built upon. Just briefly explain what happened in 2001. This piece of property was owned by the federal government. It's the old federal building, if you remember. The federal building was right here. That's currently now the sheriff's offices and the jail administrative offices. And so as I understand the documents, the federal government donated that to the county and the city for what they call in the documents a public safety project. So they donated it for the purposes of the city and the county working together to build the jail. So there were several agreements that took place at the same time, one of which was a cooperative agreement for the operations of the jail. And essentially, to summarize that, is the city agreed to build the jail and borrow the money, build the jail, and pay that back. While the county then agreed to pay for all costs, including repairs, maintenance, utilities, upkeep, all of the operations of the jail. And to include housing the city prisoners or prisoners that are, although it doesn't happen very often, it happens every once in a while, people that are brought up on municipal charges that have jail time. Probably more prevalently though, is the booking, things like doing breathalyzer tests and those kinds of things. And again, that was part of the agreement that the county would provide those services for any municipal charges, as well as any state charges or county charges that were brought up. So the city borrowed $8.4 million, a little over $8.4 million. And we all entered into those agreements. There's lease and buybacks, there's certificates of participation, that's how it was funded. So we all entered into ground leases that essentially leases the property to the trustee, and then we lease it back, and then those lease payments is what pays off the debt. At the same time, the city also agreed to borrow an extra $400,000, which is included in the 8.4 million. So it was $8,020,000 or something like that for the jail, and then $400,000 for what they called the county renovation project. Which, as I read through those documents, what that was for is to rehab the federal building for the sheriffs and the jail administrative offices, all of those kinds of things, as well as the juvenile center that was, I think it's right down in here somewhere, to renovate that and the old jail, as well as some things in the courthouse itself to renovate the space that would have been vacated by the sheriff's office or the sheriff and their deputies as they moved to the federal building. We, when I was doing the research on that, we learned that we really could not find where the county had ever repaid that $400,000 as indicated in the document. So upon follow-up on that, it was indicated that the city later forgave that $400,000 and told the county that, or basically agreed with the county that they didn't have to pay that back. It was my understanding that the reason for that or the reason stated to me that the city forgave that was that the renovations that it was intended for were never done. However, after learning that, or after being told that, I did do some research, and that those renovations were done. The presiding commissioner at the time actually submitted the draw request, signed off by the presiding commissioner, and the city paid him, and the city has been paying back the $8.4 million. So there's still, I think the loan goes out through 2026. After 2026, it will be paid off. The loan documents do say that the building will be titled to the county after it's paid off, but they're silent about the land underneath it. The cooperative agreement for the operation of the jail goes through 2031. I think it's December 4th or December of 2031. And then there's two options for 10-year extensions on those agreements. So it could be up to 50 years from 2000. I'll leave anything out? Any questions?
Was the $400,000 included in the loan?
Yes.
That we're paying back?
Correct. Yes. So the total amount borrowed was $8.4 million. I think it was $8,420,000, something like that. And that included the $400,000. So it was $8,020,000 for the jail project and $400,000 for the county renovation project.
Are we bound by that council's decision, or whoever decision was, even, well, whether it was spent or not, whether it was remodeled or not, I think is irrelevant, but are we bound by their decision?
It was done by ordinance, and there was an agreement signed. I guess that was, I don't want to put Joe on the spot because I know he hasn't seen this research, but that is something we can ask legal if.
Well, I think we need to table this. There's too much stuff that's not etching in my mind.
Well, we're not deciding anything right here tonight, we're just talking about it.
Well, I'm just saying there's too much in my mind about this.
Cedar, help me remember, my recollection is a year ago, we gave Cedar Lane property to the county, did we, right? Which was a substantial amount, of quite a bit of acreage. So that they could, at this point in time, I kind of want to know what that property was worth
But
too.
I'd like to have that property evaluated now that they tore that building down.
The appraisal was the appraisal was done two ways. One was done for the building, the land with the improvements, and the other one was just raw land value. It was $280,000 reflects the raw land value.
Because if that was a citizen somewhere, they'd be all over them about the way it looks right now. I mean, that's an eyesore, my opinion, and, you know, it needs to be cleaned up. And so, there's just.
I have a question. That's a good point. Do we know if permits were pulled to demo that building? Because he's very right. It does look like a mess, and I know we're working very hard to get a lot of that
They took out of
cleaned
what they
up.
wanted and then left the rest of it.
I don't believe so,
No permits were pulled?
I don't believe
Interesting.
You know, and we've still got a bill pending from the sheriff on the dogs. We've got several things here. So, I mean, my understanding is they made a counter offer, and I really think we need to take into consideration all these issues. And I'm not at all inclined to accept their counter offer. And
I guess I'm kind of surprised why this isn't a joint project anyway. Why wouldn't they be a little easier to work with on this project, because Sedalia is part of Pettis County? So, you know what I mean? It just seems odd to me that would be something to benefit everybody traveling in that area. We know it's not the best intersection there, and it would be very, very helpful to have that. So it makes, you know, yeah.
We did ask that question, and they said that they were not interested in that they wanted to sell the property, and they would not divide it for just the right-of-way portion.
I think we've gone above and beyond at this point in time. Let's just.
I've been an advocate since day one that I would love to always build upon the relationship between city and county. But it always seems every time we come to some form of agreement or we come to some form of cooperation, there's a hiccup from that side, and they buck back at us. If this was just a straight real estate transaction deal, absolutely. But as Councilman Bliss said, with all the issues that are currently going on with back payments, I don't think anybody's really in a position to add stipulations
Right.
and amendments
Yes.
to it.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tom. And we made an offer, more than a generous offer, and rather than just accept the offer, they made a counter proposal with stipulations and published it before we had a chance to consider it, so.
Councilwoman Foster is absolutely correct. This should have been a joint project, or at least there should have been excitement from the county to improve that area, and we didn't get it. If it was a great transaction, absolutely, but right now I would be opposed to it.
I'm absolutely opposed to it as well.
Now, with the $400,000 that we forgive the county, and we're trying to buy a piece of property from them now, I would think that they would talk to us and just say, now give that to us, because we give them $400,000, and surely they can give us that piece of property that we need.
Plus, we financed their jail, so, you know,
And I think we ought to discuss that with them.
We can certainly carry that message back if that's the message council wants us to carry.
if it came to a vote right now, I don't believe it would pass.
Agree with the objection.
Yeah, I mean, that money could be spent on other things. I mean, there's a lot of things we
There's a lot
need
of
to
things,
do.
there's, you know, there's a lot of projects that need to be done, and, I mean, I used to work at Sedalia Strip, and I used to drive a gooseneck with a 30-foot trailer through that intersection, and one thing I did not do, when I had a load of wheels ready to go to Hayes, if it was 2 o'clock, it didn't go until 4 o'clock, because I was not going to go through that intersection. So I know the problem is there. I mean, it's been there for 20 years. So,
I think you got yourself a consensus there of what we need to, how you need to approach the county again.
Okay,
Thanks for the discussion, Council.
will do. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Chairman Oldham. Up next, we have Public Safety. Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
thank you, Mayor. The Sedalia Fire Department has been awarded a grant from the Missouri Department of Public Safety for 5 APX 8000 dual band handheld radios and 2 APX 8500 truck radios. The fire department is requesting an ordinance to accept this grant. This grant is a 50-50 match up to $20,000. So there will be a need for a budget amendment done at a future meeting to address the matching funds portion of the grant once final costs have been addressed.
Any council discussion regarding the ordinance? Having heard none, call for the reading of the ordinance.
Bill number 2023-59, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a fire protection grant for the Sedalia Fire Department.
Second reading?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Bill number 2023-59, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a fire protection grant for the Sedalia Fire Department.
Final passage?
Second. Roll call, please.
Oldham,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Bogus,
Yes.
Hiller,
Yes.
Cross,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Bliss. Yes. Robinson.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Chairman Robinson. Up next, we have, Community Development. Chairwoman Foster, you have the floor.
Thank you. We have one item tonight, transitional services discussion. Of course, after several public meetings, garnering a great deal of public input and debate, a substantial amount of research reviewed by council, culminating in a special work session on March 15th, the transitional services draft ordinance is nearing its final form for consideration. Council directed staff at the work session to bring additional information, primarily regarding the buffer zones, to this meeting for us to review and have further deliberation. So, John, did you want to come up and talk? No? Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I can give a quick review of the ordinance that was in your packet for this evening, just so you can see what the changes were. Obviously, you received a red line. Going through that, we went through and did kind of a final cleanup where, any defined terms that needed to have initial caps on them just to indicate that they were defined terms, that was cleaned up. We did go through all of the definitions, put them in the correct alphabetical order, so that's a lot of what you see there where it would show almost as though a definition looks new. It's not new, it's because it was moved to a new place in the ordinance. That information takes us all the way through to actually page 5 of the ordinance. I did create a new section 3 of the ordinance itself, and this was based on council direction, where in section 10B, which is on page 9, there used to be information in the minimum standards related to the potential limit for a number of service providers and so forth. And so the request from council at that point was to pull that out and kind of put it into the actual zoning district. So we added that to the R1 single family, and that's where you see the new provision that is section 3 of the ordinance dealing with section 67-37, the R1 district. From there, we in section 7, which deals with the CO district, to make it consistent with other sections of the ordinance, we put that special use requirement that went along with the matrix that you saw at the last meeting when we talked about that. Let's see, again, initial caps were added where needed. I'm going to skip over a piece here. So on page 8 of the ordinance, which is section 64-127, provisions related to homelessness, B1 is the buffer zone that we'll come back to and speak about in just a moment, based on some requests from council from that standpoint. Again, all of the rest of the edits from that place on were just kind of cleanup and a couple of the requests of council. You'll see at the bottom of page 9, at the top of page 10, that is the section 10B that I took out and moved to that section 3 we talked about before, so that's why you see the strike through. And that is basically all of the information that you had requested through the work session on March 15th. So with that, I do know that during the discussion on March 15th, there was a request, looking at the maps, and if you look at, again, this would be section, it's 64, it's section 14 of the ordinance. It's section 64-127 of the where it will be in the zoning code. So this is really at the top of page 8. You'll see subsection B, minimum standards. That is where that buffer zone from schools and daycares is located. At the last meeting, council saw, I believe, maps that dealt with 750 feet and 1,000 feet, which was in the draft ordinance that came over from the earlier the earlier information we received from Transitional Services Committee and the Planning and Zoning Commission. The request from council was to present a map that showed radius, a buffer zone of 1,500 feet. And so from there, I don't know, John, if that may be something I could use your help with on that to show what was created there.
On this map, we were asking for the 1,500-foot radius for schools and daycares. And the map that was produced, if you'll notice, most of those all of those yellow circles represent the schools and daycares licensed by the state of Missouri or is a school in the city of Sedalia. What we did with this map was to actually turn off any parcel that touched that circle. So you'll see on some of these circles, there's a jagged edge around it that had to turn off those parcels that were touching that. And as you can see, there's still quite a bit of industrial and commercial land that is available for that type of use through a special use permit. I want to remind you that the yellow circles, most of those yellow circles fall in residential areas where we're excluding shelters, but not warming or cooling shelters. Those could be with a special use permit. But that would not be lit up anyway. What we wanted to do was show in color the areas that they could be allowed, minus the yellow circles. Those yellow circles we wanted to show you as defined where the schools were and how they affected the commercial and industrial areas. Does that make sense? Okay.
Do you have the 1,000-foot map, Brian? Here it is. Down. Well, there too. At some point, I'd like to make a point between those two maps.
Go ahead.
So, my impression, I looked at both of these, when we go from 1,000 to 1,500 feet, basically, to a large degree, and I've got 1,500 printed out in front of me, we just overlap the circles more. And I think we've got to talk about, if we increase this diameter from, I would like to talk about, what's the added safety for children? I'm saying children because it's daycares and schools. You know, what additional safety do we generate by increasing that diameter by 500 feet? And I think the last thing one point I'd like to make too is that, and I guess I've looked at both of them and I think we're okay if we stay at 1,000, but I want us to think a little bit more about this. Children come down corridors to schools. And for instance, I looked at Horseman and I didn't measure it all out, but bear with me for a second. Kids come from the east down 16th Street. I don't know where 1,000 feet is or 1,500 feet is, but you know, at some point in there, close to Ohio is, I think, where that would occur. So if we make it another 500 feet east or west of Ohio, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. If somebody's in that is a problem and they're coming down from 2,000 feet away, they're going to go in front of them. I'd rather see us look at corridors or work with the school. I think we can do a better job for the kids if we keep it at 1,000 and we consider corridors where kids are coming back and forth to school. And make some exceptions if the schools and all of us say, hey, in this particular location, even though it's 2,000 feet away, we don't want to have a particular, shelter, okay? Now, again, special use permit is gonna let us consider some of that also. But two things stand out to me as we increase from 1,000 to 1,500, we basically just make the circles overlap to a large degree. And the other thing that's occurred to me since the last meeting is that we could make the distance that children, I believe a 1 mile distance is, if you live less than a mile from school, you can't use the bus. I think the distance for busing is a mile. So we certainly can't make it 5,280 feet, which is a mile, right? Because it would it would cover the entire map, right? So it's some kind of situational thing where we're trying to do the best thing to protect children, I think. Because the circles overlap as we increase these radiuses to 1,500, I think it'd be better to leave it at 1,000 and think about some corridors, possibly, if they're needed. And we can work with the school districts on that issue. That's my 2 cents worth.
I agree with keeping the kids safe for sure, but I don't have, the corridors thing sounds, I mean, that's, my concern is kids walking from school. Every day I watch kids walk from Skyline to the Casey's on Limit, and right here, we could have I understand it's not big enough, but I think that it's very important that we keep the kids walking as safe as we can.
Is that,
for sure?
What's up now? Is that the 1,000-foot circle? So
that gives it a little more, but.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, that's exactly what I'm saying, Rhiannon, is
how do we do better?
well, we say that no matter what, coming to that school along that corridor, we can't have those activities. Even the 1,500-foot circle doesn't pick it all up, right?
That's definitely what I want to do, is make sure where these kids can walk.
That's another good example that I thought about is, Skyline. Yeah, Skyline. Coming down Southwest Boulevard, there could be, well, actually, it's all residential, so there really couldn't be.
So that's right here, Casey's is here, and all this here.
Right, no, that's all out on Limit.
Yeah, but that Casey's is right here.
Yeah, but there's no kids walking from the north end of that.
There are kids that play right here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
And they just, actually, 2 days ago, a mom that was right there came to me and
But
said,
that's still gonna create special, well, or make that a corridor, if it's a corridor for kids.
right there, that's not far.
But I think the circles are basically, it's around daycare centers. Well, we can't protect kids everywhere, right? The ordinance says daycare centers and schools.
Mm-hmm.
So we make corridors to schools. We make some exception possibly.
That 1,500 turns a lot of stuff off around the junior high, and that, I see a lot of kids coming in and out.
Yeah, there are
junior
some
high.
walkers over there too, yeah.
We've got to do something that's,
Could you scroll in on that, Kelvin, please? Sorry, sometimes it's hard to.
are you talking about the old middle Smith Cotton or the old middle school or the new middle school?
The junior high, right there at, Broadway in Massachusetts.
That's in high school.
No, junior high,
What map is up right now on the,
15, is that
old high
correct?
school.
that's
Still in high
15?
school.
Okay, so then if you zoom in on that area, and if you can, and then go back to 1,000, I think you'll still see you have basically the same coverage because those circles, to me, they overlap a lot.
Mm-hmm, yeah, I see a lot of kids walking from,
Yeah.
junior high, they're all headed west into those neighborhoods that lay to the west there.
These colored areas.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so you can't have anything in the white areas anyway.
So, okay, this is the 1,000, Kelvin?
This is the 1,000 now.
Okay,
So
let's
that'd
see,
be
where tonight?
that one, right?
So it's up here. Oh,
You know, either way, it's white or it's tan, which basically,
I think it's.
my understanding is,
there with the junior high too.
You can make 1,500.
that gap's still there.
The beige area
Still there,
is a no. So what color areas are yes?
Yeah.
Anything that's
Well,
beige
that's
or
what I'm saying.
Anything other than beige and white is a yes.
Corridors, you
with a special use.
say Hancock's a corridor. So your purple, pink, blue, green, all that.
We think we reasonable. And we gotta protect kids. That's, but either way, that little section's out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not included.
I mean, you know, this, any of that.
And really, many of those colored properties are unavailable as well because they're already owned. Correct? Many of those, colored properties are already, are unavailable already.
Absolutely, but
Because they're already owned.
that's why I like a quarter situation instead of just a diameter in a circle, because we can do it. But Tom, we also have a special use permit situation in most cases to fall back on. I just don't want to have a situation where kids are walking by something that's outside the circle, not in a corridor.
Yeah, that's something.
And we just,
No, I agree.
we just saw this map today. I just think
You don't want blanketed coverage, you just want.
no, I do not want to. No, we can't. I think we have to be reasonable, in our effort, from a variety of different situations, but we've created a transitional services ordinance. We've got to be fair and reasonable. I think that's our, but I really, to me, it's not mainly fair and reasonable. I just looked at the 1500 map this morning and I thought, man, there's a whole bunch of overlap, but it really doesn't change a whole lot because circles are just overlapping circles. And I've been concerned about the kids going to Horace Mann. I also thought about the kids that Rhiannon talked about going to Skyline, and even the 1,500-foot circle, when I looked at it, didn't completely protect them going up Southwest Boulevard. It didn't completely protect them going on 16th Street. So I thought about perhaps we could work with some corridors and keep it at 1,000, because I think it keeps us more reasonable, and I think it protects more kids.
Can you show engineering each seventh on the 1,500?
That combined with the special use permit, I think we'll be okay.
I agree, that
And then
kids
go back to
walking.
the other.
If we're reasonable and
Big deal.
we've done due diligence and we've had all this input, everybody wants to sue our pants off, but they're gonna stay on if we use our heads, right? That's where I'm coming from.
Well, I agree that we definitely want to make sure that it's safe for our youth, for our school children. But I believe we need to make it safe for no matter who you are living here in Sedalia.
Very true.
Because you can get into some of these neighborhoods where there's no school, there's no daycare, but would it be safe in that neighborhood? And some of these that I'm looking at, no, it would not. I know what has been said would not be allowed. I know what has been said that we're going to make sure we keep our eye on it, but you can't keep your eye on it 100% of the time. There's going to be something that's going to slip through and could possibly happen. We were voted and put into this position to make rules and regulations for the city of Sedalia. Not just that neighborhood or that neighborhood, but for the city of Sedalia. Therefore, we have to look at that. We have to look at how things are being worded. We have to have specific information from anybody that's planning on building a shelter. Do we have a need for it here in Sedalia? Sure we do. But we have to come together and say, this is how we can attack this. Okay. We have to be realistic. There's too much going on, not just here in Sedalia, but other towns that's already being bombarded by those that are unsheltered. We have to make sure that the problems that those other towns and cities are having, Sedalia doesn't have those same ones. We want this to remain the type of town where somebody wants to come in, they want to be a part of the town, they want to be a part of what Sedalia is about. This is that, and we have to make sure it's done the correct way.
And our number one concern is keeping our citizens safe.
Keeping everybody safe.
Yes,
Well,
all of them,
yeah.
absolutely, yes.
I agree, but,
You're right.
I mean, I was specifically talking about this map.
Well, and I'm, like I said, I'm looking at
And
it, that's
yeah,
why I was
and then-
asking Kevin on the color, the purple and the pink, they're pretty. under the pink and purple colors, are we saying that these areas are okay? You can go ahead and put something there as long as you have your special use permit? And if so, look at where it's at.
Well, remember, the special use permit brings them before us.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we've got the control because of the special use permit and the map.
Well, we do.
Which was the kids. So I think, with the special use permit, they're coming in front of us anyway. So we're gonna be able to.
Absolutely.
But I don't know, it's a tough one.
It is absolutely a tough
You and I have
one.
been dealing with it longer than anybody else.
And hey, I have been in my car, I have driven around Sedalia looking for different spots, I have given that information to the individual.
You were a trooper.
I'm not backing down from it. However, it does concern me that we are continuously being brought up with biblical words.
Well.
Seriously, I don't know about anybody else, but I personally, 1 Corinthians, it also says that we must do things decent and in order. And that's what this council is trying to do, things decent and in order.
Yeah, I know. You're right.
So, and then is this 1,000? Yeah. So see, and this too, with the high school, it turns that off there too, with the 1,500. And then a good chunk
Well,
of it.
that's far enough out. That's a daycare and a high school, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot.
High school, early childhood.
But see it,
Yeah, and there's a
All
little bit
those
of there on the
require special use
1,000-foot
permits.
map, the 1,000-foot map. Not all of these got turned off if they were connected, if the property connected. And so some of those would need to be turned off, like all of that would have to be turned off. Now, this one across B Highway would still be available. Some of these would be turned off, but these would be turned on. And then on your
turned off.
1,500 foot,
Right.
it turns off more of that, and it turns off this across from B Highway.
And I guess something else to think about too is the traffic going to the homeless shelter too, not just the traffic coming from the schools. I think we need to also keep in mind that that's going to draw traffic to those shelters as well. So we need to be careful of where we're putting the boundaries because they're going to be crossing by these places, and that's think about, does that make sense? Am I saying that in a
Earlier,
reasonable way?
you had brought up in another meeting that to bring vision to what we're saying, because you can talk about it all day long, but if you don't have that vision, you don't know. And when you was talking about different hotels,
Yes.
motels, saying, well, this in particular here it's a 30-bed or it's
Yes.
a 40-bed, it gave me the vision of just how big
Right.
this thing could be.
So with the 40 beds that we're proposing that's in it now, like Tina said, I wanted a visual on that. How big is that? So I thought, okay, hotels, that's rooms with a bed, so that's going to be comparable to this. So visually, American Inn has 30 rooms. So that's 30 beds. That's big. So I think we need to look at making it maybe 20 beds, because that, to me, is very, very large. Super 7 has 24 rooms, and that's good size as well. Let's see, the Bakwa Hotel has 48. Sunset Motel has 22.
Maybe before we move on to that point, let's go ahead and finish up
Sorry.
with 1,000 foot. Is everybody comfortable with 1,000 foot, or does somebody want to make a motion to change that? What do we want to do?
I like the 1,500 better, but I think it might be interesting to look at Steve's idea with the corridors too.
Let me see if I can get something passed. I'll make a motion that we do 1,000 feet with the idea that we develop a corridor system, or at least work with the public school system and look at that. So that we don't have gaps, even with the 1,500-foot circles.
I could second that for you.
Thank you. I would too. So you got a motion and a second.
Any discussion regarding the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we'll try to get it done. Joe knows how to write that.
Sure. We're on the same page.
Oh, no, I know, absolutely. Yeah, I just didn't.
I need to look at Joe to see if steam was coming out of his ears, but he'll be.
We apologize, staff.
Okay, moving on to the second point, the issue you guys raised with regards to the size and the bed number. So,
Make a motion.
pass that out.
So, I don't know, do you guys understand kind of what, with the visual of that, I think that gives it a different perspective on how big the building is actually going to be.
Would you go through those again?
So let's see,
Please.
American Inn, which is
No, and American Inn is,
1217 South Limit, it's the one
okay,
by
yeah,
Burger
okay.
King. That one
That's
has
the one by Burger King, yes.
30 rooms. That one has 30 rooms. The Super 7, which is on South Limit, has 24. Hotel Bothell has 48. Sunset Motel has 22. So I just thought that would give us perspective on size, that 40 seems pretty big to me, when American Inn is a pretty good sized little place, and 30, it's 10 less. So
And that's not including the offices that they say they may be having.
right, and I would assume they would need an eating area and other things too, not just the room. So I would think that putting that in perspective, that's going to be a pretty big building.
So what are your specific concerns regarding that size of facility?
I think it's pretty dang big.
Well,
I think that 20 would be better. I think 20 would be better for a lot of reasons. I mean, but just size-wise, I think it puts a different perspective on how many people are going to be there.
more controllable? Okay.
You know, that's a large building. You're going to need a lot of people to take care of that.
well, your point was traffic earlier too.
And absolutely, traffic coming to that building.
Have we got that matrix that was created about what would be allowed where, and I know Joe had it at one time.
I have control of that.
Joe, do you remember where that 40 is, what section?
Yes, actually, I can give that context. So, what we're talking about at this point for frame of reference is, this is section 14 of the proposed ordinance, which starts on page 7. But if you recall, it deals with the provisions related to homelessness. We have purpose and intent, and then we have minimum standards, and this gets into the standards that are specific to shelters only. So the actual provision that we're looking at is at the top of page 11, and it says that shelters shall not exceed 40 beds, provided that such shelters must otherwise comply with the underlying zoning districts. So essentially, if the zoning district would not allow a 40-bed facility in it, you couldn't go to 40 beds, okay? But if it would allow at least 40 beds in it, that a shelter would be limited to 40. So I think a good way to look at that is maybe potentially a place where an apartment building might be allowed. Well, I might be wrong about that because that would be residential. But certainly like where hotels would be allowed, then this would say that a shelter could not exceed 40 beds where, say, for example, a hotel would be allowed. But I think Councilmember Foster is pointing out the fact that, I don't know if we have hotels in town that exceed 40 beds, but certainly she was pointing out some that do not and are significantly sized buildings. So.
Let's see, Hampton has 80. I don't know if I can read, I have a whole list of all of them, but it just seemed like, especially when you put it in perspective and can see the size of the building, this would be a pretty big building. And I think that you might want to have something a little smaller with fewer beds.
This was the one you referenced, right? Look.
Is that American Inn?
Mm-hmm.
And it's 30. No, it has 30.
It's in there somewhere in there that they have to have so many parking spots per room. Make a motion.
But how do we determine though, or we haven't even discussed, I don't know if we can discuss the size of what those rooms are.
I think it said 50 feet per
50 feet,
person.
yeah, 50 feet
Is that,
per individual. Is that room or is that just property or space? Because the size of a motel room, yeah, you've got 2 full-size beds, the bathroom, the sink, everything. But the room
I don't know if all those have
that's-
two. I think that,
Fair enough, yeah. Fair enough.
especially American Inn, is
Yeah.
probably pretty good, because those are not large rooms.
But I don't know, and I'm not arguing for or against it, I don't know how we accurately compare what a homeless shelter room would be versus a hotel room, which is sometimes intended for very long
Okay, well,
stay.
Kelvin just highlighted, shelters must provide at least 50 square feet per person.
Well, but that's not gonna fit the code a lot of times, I don't think. There's still gonna be,
I would say, I do recall that when that provision was put in there, it had to do more with, like maybe the type of shelter where you'd have individuals coming in and sharing one open space, that there would be at least, like, that cots wouldn't be on top of each other, those types of things, that there would be at least, a 5 by 10 area for someone to have their own personal space
That's probably
in a shelter.
referring more to fire code, I would assume also.
I'm sorry.
I would assume that section right there, that line right there would refer a lot to fire code.
So the fire code also applies. That's something that we've covered elsewhere, that all, the typical, building, codes and all of those things do apply for all of these, structures and these uses.
Well, this has nothing to do with the size of it, but have we ever discussed these homeless shelters about people bringing their animals there? Dogs, cats? Should that be discussed?
That's up to you guys. I mean, we're here discussing it right now, Bob.
But I mean, that could be a problem.
So before we go, let's go ahead and stay focused. Before we move on to another subject, let's stay focused on where we're at now, which is the bed count. Is there a motion to adjust this? Or is council good to leave it at 40?
I make a motion that we take it down to 30.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Jason, can you please poll the council?
Robinson.
No.
Oldham.
No.
Marshall.
Yes.
August.
Yes.
Hiller.
Yes.
Cross.
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Bliss.
No.
Okay, motion passes. Now we can move on to dogs and cats.
But that could be a serious problem.
So what problems do you foresee with the dog?
Well, if a person would come in, needing a place, and he had a dog that was, considered a mean dog, do you want him in the room there with the kids and stuff?
Aren't things like that gonna be up to whoever is running the shelter? We can't micromanage the shelter. Some people that have to have it.
I want to create an ordinance that's safe for our citizens, for those who volunteer and run the facility, and for those who utilize the facility.
Right.
I don't want us to be in the business of running the facility for them.
Right.
That's where we need to be at. We don't need to be in the weeds, we don't need to run the business.
Any other discussion regarding this?
Remember, the special use provision will give us a chance to make that point, Bob, too, beforehand, and I think that's probably a real important point to make, that you're gonna manage this property, you're gonna keep everybody safe in this property.
Yeah. Well, that would be something you could bring up then to them, and
Yeah,
how
true.
are you gonna manage that?
I just hope this dog don't come and bite us in the butt later on.
Well, we don't own the shelter.
I know that.
Anything further? Joe, do you have any other points you'd like us to visit? Chairwoman?
is it for me.
Okay. All right, other business, we have liquor licenses, call for the reading of the liquor licenses.
We have 2 new licenses and 1 renewal tonight. New licenses, Haley Newton doing business as Sedalia Lions Club at P.O. Box 1085 for a picnic license for Sedalia Lions Club Cornhole Tournament at the New Corps Pavilion at the Missouri State Fairgrounds on June 10th from 8 to 5. And a new one for Tabor Redford doing business as Marie Grace Boutique at 2209 West Main for packaged liquor and taste testing. And a renewal for Nicole Walker doing business as Broadway Liquor and Smokes at 2610 West Broadway for packaged liquor and Sunday sales.
Motion to approve and block.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Thank you. Now we have miscellaneous items from the city council and city administrator. Anybody got anything they want to talk about? Remember to go vote.
Remember to go vote.
I'd like to thank Bob Hiller for the DARE program. He's raised a lot of money this time. I think
Well, I am gonna give a presentation, but I wanna wait till, I want the public to speak first, and then we'll get up there and do a presentation.
Okay. We'll give you 3 minutes here in good and welfare. Anything else, fellas?
Ukrainian Festival is, April 29th. There's a benefit for the senior center on the 24th of June. I hear there's gonna be a great MC.
Where's it at? April 29th?
It's gonna be at Heckert. So please support that. And the Ukrainian Festival is coming back 29th. The flyers just went out. I've got a couple for Randy and for Chris and anyone else. That will be something that'll be fun again. It was neat last year.
Okay, I think we've got them coming in on 17th to do a presentation.
Yeah.
First Thursday is April 4th. Downtown is going to have live bands, going to have food trucks, going to businesses that are normally only open during 8 to 5 are going to be open up a little bit longer, so other people will be able to go and purchase items. So first Thursday is going to be a good event from 5 to 8.
And that's this Thursday?
That's this Thursday.
Okay. Nice.
All
Which would be
downtown
the
wants
6th,
something.
not the 4th.
Huh?
Which would be the 6th, not the 4th.
Oh, it's 6th. Yes, it's this Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the 6th. Thank you.
All right. Well, having heard no further discussion from council, we'll open it up to the audience. Anybody who has anything they'd like to address council regarding, go ahead and step to the podium, state your name, your address, and then you have 3 minutes to say whatever you'd like to say.
My name is Kevin Stout. I had 2 things. One, I've been a postal carrier for 17 years. And after you learn the job, the hardest thing about our job is the dogs and the weather. We call the pet control, nothing's ever done. We got meetings all the time about safety, about dogs in this town. Nothing happened. We had a guy got bit in the face, pit bull, nothing happened. So that something needs to be looked at on that to at least help protect us, because a lot of people just let them out to go to the bathroom and don't care about letter carriers and kids too. It's not just that. The other thing I was going to talk about, your council person talked about Sedalia. We're working for Sedalia, and the dump site was a great thing. I've been in business since 2006. I used the dump site when it was at the old one, and then I moved across the street, and it's a mess. I agree with that. This one here is an awesome thing for Sedalia. But the one thing you need to remember is Sedalia is 21,000 maybe people. The county is 40-some thousand people. We have people all over this county that come in there and dump their stuff. So now, thing is I provide a service for people mowing their yard. In order to do that, if there's a storm, you got to pick up the sticks, make it look better, make Sedalia look better. So I'm not charging them for that, and now you're saying pay for that to come down, even if it's an arm load, or how are we gonna do that? And now, if I'm cutting a tree, I can understand that, because I see that there's a problem with that, big trucks, trailers and stuff. But most of the time, on a weekly basis, I got maybe a half a pickup load. So now I gotta come down here, instead of helping people out that don't have a vehicle to get it out there, I'm trying to help them out. So, that's one thing I wanted to say about that. Other than that, how are you gonna control the county from coming in here that is not paying city taxes? What this was supposed to be originally for, they're coming in from every neighborhood around here. I've seen people come from Ionia, I've seen people come from, way down, Smithton area. Why aren't they paying? So if that's the case, if I have to pay for an arm load or a half a pickup load and come down here every time, it's not fair for us to make Sedalia look better and let them do it for free. I would be all for buying a permit for the year with my license, which there's a lot of people out there mowing grass with zero turns mowers that don't even have a license in this town. Put a sticker on my windshield. Pay $100 for my truck to come in there to throw an armload of stuff out. And if I have a major amount of stuff, I agree, come down here and pay whatever the fee is.
All right, thank you, Cal. Up next.
Hi, my name is Tammy Hicks. I've been a resident of Sedalia for 60 years. In 1994, I bought my house and have been there for 29 years. I have asked the city for curbing in front of my home. This issue has never been addressed. I live on 3rd and Center. I have curbing on the side of my house on Center. Recently, I was told by neighbors that the city inspector, Ms. Barr, wants our neighborhood to put gravel on the street so cars cannot park on our sidewalks. I believe curbing would be better than gravel and safer. I called a company for an estimate to put gravel on the end of the sidewalk to the street, which is 3 foot by 10 inches. This bid is $255. This man told me that the way it would go in my situation, in my property, is that it would go my yard, a small beat up sidewalk, and then the 3 feet by 10 inches, and then it would go to the street. Okay, we have no curbing. So therefore, he would have to put gravel on my yard to make it go to the street, and you have to hire guys to bin it out because it's 2 foot, okay? So, you don't want a vehicle parked on 2 foot of gravel, you have to spread it out. He said he didn't think it would be a good idea, plus it's gonna be on my grass. So how am I gonna mow? And about the grass is, okay, my house on the corner, 3rd and Center, okay? I have a patch of grass. Let's see, sorry, I lost my place. Anyway, I have a patch of grass, 4 foot. It is 4 foot from my curbing. It's going into the street, okay? So, for 29 years, I've been mowing, or had someone mow this patch of grass because they refused to, the Public Works, the city, whoever I got hold of, refuses to put the pavement to my curbing so I don't have to mow. I'm disabled, I need curbing, I need my sidewalks and my grass, my grass there mowed because that's my property. And I would like to know who pays for this gravel, because I have a $255 estimate and I'm on disability and I can't afford to pay that, nor do I want that gravel on there. Why can't we just have some curbing? I just don't understand. I've got my lady next door, she babysits grandkids and has to go out in the street and play with them, okay? Because our sidewalks are so bad and we have no curbing. They park.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Hicks. What I'll do is I'll swing by and take a look at that way it's easier for me to understand what you're talking about when I can put my eyes on it and see.
Okay, I'm sorry, I should have brought pictures.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah,
No problem.
and sorry I got a little upset, but, it's been going on too long, so,
Yeah.
kind of bothering me, so.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening.
Yeah,
I'm Dave Durkin with Pettis County First. I'd like to hear a comment, Ms. Foster, about, today was part of Pettis County. I'd like all your comments about how you're concerned about the safety of everybody in Sedalia, so being you're part of Pettis County.
Mr. Durkin, can I get your address for the record?
19947 Buckley Road, Lamont. I had a few questions for you. I wondered, how many of you think that we might need 3 major landfills in Pettis County? So, how many of you know the developers that are filing a lawsuit against the county? So, how many of you know about the ordinance that was passed to regulate landfills in Pettis County? So, I'm assuming none of you do?
Well, I do. I know about all of it. But it's your turn to speak.
Mr. Durkin, this is just for, this time is for you to address council and speak. This isn't
So
for
my concern
question
is
council.
about the issue of the landfill and Proposition 1. The regulations that was passed by the county commission, which they had the authority to do, to regulate landfills in Pettis County. Now, 2 landfill developers in Pettis County suing over these regulations. So if we lose this lawsuit, we're open to 3 major landfills in Pettis County that we can't regulate. So, what I'm asking for you to do is to support Proposition 1, to tax, or to put a $1.50 tipping fee on the 600,000 tons of trash that's coming in Pettis County. Presidio Environmental is offering a host agreement that they don't even have a landfill here yet. That's not, the existing landfill's not offering this host agreement. So, if we got this $800 and some thousand a year, that would help go a long ways to make this lawsuit stay in effect, because without it, we're set up to have 3 major landfills here in Pettis County. So I don't know whether you're familiar with the Raymore landfill, the opposition up there. So from day one, their city council, their commissioners, their representatives, their mayors all made a statement how they was opposed to this landfill up there. If they get that stopped up there, which they've got a House bill already passed in the House, they're going to the Senate now, that trash is going to come here too. So Presidio's saying that they're going to give us.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Durkin.
They don't have the host agreement to give us. So we're up again, big money, and this is our county. We need to take care of it. So I'm asking for you all to support Proposition 1 and make a statement like they did up at Raymore that you're in favor of Proposition 1.
Thank you for your comments. All right. Anybody else? Come on up.
My name is, can you hear me? My name is Emma Curry. My address is 5045 Locust Lane. And I also am with Pettis County First. And I'm just asking us all to remember that some of the comments that were made here, that Sedalia is Pettis County. We are right here in Sedalia, we're Pettis County. And we do have trash coming into our county from Kansas City, bypassing Warrensburg, bypassing everything, because we have not been charging per ton for trash brought into this private landfill. Because it is a private landfill, we cannot keep anybody from bringing trash into it. But we certainly could have been for many years and need to be now charging $150 a ton for any trash that's being brought in here. This big corporation in one of their publications wrote that Missouri was the target for waste landfills in the Midwest. And Sedalia doesn't need, we are Pettis County here in Sedalia. We don't need to be the landfills of the Midwest. So I'm asking the city and the county to work together. Every one of you want to help Sedalia. Every one of the commissioners want to help the county. I think you all want to work together. And I'm asking that we do support opposing additional landfills coming into this county, and that we do support having anybody hauling trash in here to be paying the same kind of tipping fee that is being charged anywhere else. But of course, why wouldn't you bypass, why wouldn't Lake of the Ozarks, which by the way is where the people are headquartered who want the landfill up here. Isn't it interesting they don't want it down there? So I'm asking you to support this, and that the city and the city council, you're all, I appreciate every one of you. I appreciate the county commissioners, but I'm asking us all to work together and have Sedalia and Pettis County be the area that we want it to be. As something Tina said, we want people to come here, we want them to know why they're here, and we want them to enjoy it. So I'm just asking for everybody's cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Curry. Anybody else like to get up and address council? Come on up.
Stephen Gregory, 22735 Highway 2, Lamont. First off, I want to thank everybody for allowing us to be here tonight, be able to talk. I was here 2 weeks ago, and now we heard your vote tonight. I know two abstained, didn't vote tonight for the brush dump. And what it is we understand that, being a contractor, I said that before. We understood you were leaning towards some form of vote on a certain amount, okay? Well, that's great. But I don't know how many of y'all actually did the math tonight. But I'm gonna just throw this out here real quick. On an 8 foot by 16 foot trailer, if I was to put mine at 4 feet high to dump out there at the brush dump, it's $76. Okay? I guess, I don't know if you think that's fair, right? If you think that's fair, then are you all willing to pay that when the work's done at your house? I'm asking you tonight to please reconsider that amount. If you want the city to look good and to prosper, like we're saying tonight, I'm afraid that if this goes through and it stays this high, I'm afraid that you're going to start dropping brush at different places. You're going to have contractors that are not going to want to pay for it. When it's all said and done, I think the whole goal here was to try to get enough money somehow or other to help pay for the grinder. Is that correct? The tub grinder, right? Okay, and I understand contractors bring in more and homeowners don't have to pay anything. But what's going to happen is the homeowners aren't going to want to have to pay that amount. And we wouldn't be able to swallow that amount either. So you get talking about one tree and taking 3, 4, 5 loads out there to the dump, there's another $480 or something right on top of your bill. And so I'm just asking you to please reconsider that amount. I don't know what it's based off of. I don't know how many contractors this amount was based off of or whatever. Also, I'm asking tonight, be fair, look at the amount that the city is bringing out there to the wood yard. Because one of your own people that work out there at the wood yard said that the person that's doing the work for the city has brought the majority of what's out there. So, we'll pay our share, but we want it to be fair. And we want it to be fair because it's gonna be handed down to individuals in this city. Everybody here. And I hate it because I've been in business for 31 years. And I appreciate the brush dump. We all need that brush dump. Otherwise, you're going to affect a lot of contractors' livings here. They spend money here too as well. So please remember that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else? Come on up.
Different up here. Cordell Leasy, 1495 East 37th Street. Lived here since '93. Love the brush drop-off place because before that we had to take it out to the county dump and pay for it, and you never knew what you'd pay. One time you take it out there, it'd be $30. Next time it'd be $80, $40. You never knew how to plan for your bid, you know. And I don't do a tree service, I just do a lawn care service. And I'm like that. I do, most of my yards are in town. I pick up the sticks daily and take them out there and dump them off, you know. Sometimes I do a tree job, you know, but most of it's a smaller job. It's not like these big tree companies that take out a big, huge pin oak tree. And if you do the math on that, a big, huge pin oak tree, then it'd be about $480 for a big pin oak tree, or a big elm tree, or a big something. And that's going to be passed on to anybody who does it if the tree companies decide to jump their stuff there, which most of them probably are not going to do that. They're going to take it out in the county, burn it, pollute, you know. They're not going to do that. Pay $480 for one tree, and maybe they have 4 or 5 trees. Well, that's, you know, that's a ton of money. So we're not opposed to a fee, but $4 for a yard, a 3 by 3 by 3 yard, that can add up to a ton of money. And we understand you need to cover your costs. And we're grateful for the land, the place you have. I love it. Some people are complaining about it and say, well, you should have been here before. You know, it was terrible. So very grateful for that. But I think I agree with Kevin. It should be, you know, a reasonable amount, you know. And then if you just, most of the yards, the 6 I pick up are from the city. They come from the city. They come from tax owners that are paying their taxes, you know. That's probably 90% of my business. The brush that I take out there is from city people that pay their taxes. And now, if that's the case, I'm going to have to charge them a little more to get rid of that for them. And I was wondering what you consider commercial. Is that like a lawn care service, tree service, anybody with a trailer, anybody with a business license? What is considered commercial? You know, and then also with Kevin's point, all the people from the out areas, you know, different counties, different cities, bringing all their stuff in here. If I have to pay for it, if Kevin has to pay for it, why shouldn't they have to pay for it, you know? So just would like you to consider the price to be fair, you know. We understand we need to cover the cost and pay for it, but we don't want to, you know, not be able to have the cost astronomically increase for services around Sedalia, and then people get frustrated and they start dumping it. And then you got all kinds of piles everywhere, and I don't want to haul it off because it costs me more money to haul it away, and they're not going to pay me more money to haul it away. So, thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
Albert Riney, 655 Riney Avenue, just outside the city. I agree with these boys because I'm the dump. I've had tires and brush and furniture and everything else piled on my cornfields, and it's a mess. So if you don't take care of the county and the city and the people, it's going outside the city somewhere. If it ain't on my cornfield, it's going to be on somebody else's cornfield. And I had the names of the people who dumped it. And I took it to the sheriff, and I took it to the prosecuting attorney. Nothing was done about it. Period. You ain't going to hammer me out.
Thank you, Albert. Anybody else? Well, this has been the most public comment we've ever had after a council meeting. I just want to thank everybody for coming down, using their 30 minutes. Yeah.
My turn?
Yeah. Okay. We'll give you 3.
I gotta hand this out.
You want me to hand it out? I'll hand it out. You go.
Start clock.
How about that? You don't get it.
We don't need one.
Okay. Bob Hiller, 1821 South Ohio. This is my 32nd year doing the Dare Car Show.
Time's up.
I'm gonna, but instead of me come up here and say, here's the money, I think I left it up there actually.
I'll take care of it. Thank you.
No, that's okay.
Money's up here?
Bob.
Let's go out to dinner.
Anyway, I'm gonna do a real quick, this is Sedalia's. You know, it's a Sedalia Dare Car Show put on by Bob Hiller, his wife Maybelle, and all my staff, and I have 6-7 people that help us. But I'm gonna kind of break this down real quick. You all got a copy of it. We had 5 items in our raffle this year: a TV, a whole bunch of tools, a couple buckets with 20 different bottles of Lucas Oil product, and a women's basket that had a watch and a bracelet, diamond studded earrings, a bunch of women other stuff that she put together. The New Car Dealers Association here in Sedalia, all the new car dealerships gave me $250 to buy that stuff. Black Friday, I bought my TV. Anyway, and then we sold raffle tickets, and that $250 turned into $746. Then the Elks buys all my hot dogs that we give away. Okay, we put a free will donation bucket on the table. Then $100 worth of free hot dogs turned into $529. We gave out 56 awards this year. 40 of them were plaques. And I had dash plaques for all you council members. These are what the plaques look like. Pretty cool. We gave 50 of those plaques, and then the rest awards, I had a couple glass blocks made that came from Pittsburgh Corning, had their Car Show logo put on them. I gave them to a couple kids that were showing their micro-midget race cars. The other special trophies was the Mayor's Choice, and he picked a nice-looking 40 Ford, Bob Hayden. And I can't tell you the Dare Officer's Choice, my Dare officers that were there that day helping, they went around and picked a car. I took a valve cover, mounted it on the board, put hooks on it, and put a set of ratchet wrenches on it. Pretty cool trophy. I made a plaque and put trophy heads on it, and 3 of them on there, and they had Terry over there engraved dares to keep kids off drugs, or actually it said to become a winner, just say no, and they had the Dare logo on the other side, stained it, painted it up pretty. The special awards were made by me, okay? So, my sponsors for the show, these are the people that give us money to buy and do what we do. Starline Brass, Pruitt and Matz Brothers Investors, Turner Heating and Air, KDRO, KPOW. Now, Starline paid for my advertising, okay? But KPOW and KDRO sent Charlie down here and did live remotes for us. I think that really helps bring the walk-in people. Hardee's, they let us fill our ice tanks. We had 3 tanks, stock tanks, and they were full of water and soda. 30 cases of soda and 30 cases of water. Evergy buys all the soda, and Lisa Guerrero, she, in memory of her husband Louis that got killed, she buys all the water and has for the last 8-9 years. Our biggest supporter is the Hayden Freedom Foundation Trust. They gave me another check for $10,000. Anyway, Summer Insurance made all of our goodie bags, and we give out 100 of them. There was one of these dash plaques in every one of them, plus a bunch of other goodie stuff. And in summary, on those costs, those 50 plaques was $888. The way we paid for them is by penny a vote. The voting of the cars raised $3,225.13. Great investment. Okay. The TV raffle raised $746. The silent auction, which we had 29 ties, we had 109 auction items. All that's donated. It raised $6,450.50. Then with the Hayden Foundation, another $10,000. Do you want to come up here, Brad? Matt? It's our pleasure. Man, this is a lot of money. If y'all remember last year, we did $19,907.24. This beats it. These are checks for $20,750.63. It's my honor, guys. One thing you guys have done this year is we raised the scholarships to $1,000 each. One goes to Sacred Heart, one goes to one goes to Smith Cotton. Okay, these scholarships are now locked in for 20 years. The money's there, it's in escrow. There'll be 2 checks a year written, and that's for the scholarship winners. Now they have started a dare camp. Last year we had 13 kids signed up. Matt told me today they've already got 96. They're gonna take the kids, I think, out to Leisure Park. The people out there graciously opened their doors, said, "Have at it, guys. Do what you want." Then they're going to put them on a bus and take them and get them food. Then they're going to put them on the bus and take them to the park. When they get done eating them, then they're going to take them to the skating rink, and it costs the kids nothing. This car show has funded the DARE program the whole step. The city council has never, in 32 years, had to dedicate $1 to the DARE program. And as long as I'm alive, that's the way it's going to stay. So thank you. I do want to thank the city this year. We started bringing stuff down Friday, and they were out there with the street sweeper cleaning up the parking lot, cleaning up the lots, brought the barricades down. They didn't leave our trash barrels, but I figured the reason they didn't leave them because if they put them here, they were probably going to be on Main Street the next day. But they brought them down, and when we left here Saturday afternoon, you couldn't tell we were here. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the use of this building because it does make our day better. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob Maybell.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, I will now entertain a motion to move to closed door meeting.
No more discussion. I motion to move to closed door session for legal advice, real estate, personnel, and negotiated contracts.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Robinson?
Yes.
Oldham?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Bogus?
Yes.
Hiller? Cross?
Yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Bliss?
Here. Going.
Oh, I handed them all.
This conference will now be recorded.
That was so much fun. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
Marshall?